Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're cutting straight to the chase.
Okay.
We're exploring something really fundamental to, well, everything you do, motivation. We want to unpack that inner drive, the thing that gets you out of bed, the force behind your goals.
Yeah, understanding the why.
Exactly. The why behind your actions.
Right. Think of it as like the core power source for your life.
Right.
It's that mix of internal desires and maybe external pushes that gets you moving.
Right, to strive for things.
To strive, to pursue goals, and importantly, to keep going when things get tough.
So it's like an engine.
It's a personal engine, yeah. Fueled by needs, dreams, ambitions, all of that.
And, we humans, we've always been driven by something, haven't we? Like basic survival connection.
Oh, absolutely. It's ancient.
But the formal study of this engine, this motivation thing, that's actually pretty recent, relatively speaking.
That's right. It's a field that's still, evolving as we learn more. It's fascinating because the experience is timeless, but trying to systematically understand it, that really only got going late 19th, early 20th century.
Right. So people started asking, what really makes us tick?
Exactly. What makes us act?
Okay, so what were some of those first ideas, those early attempts?
Well, one of the first big ones was instinct theory. You had thinkers like William McDougall.
McDougall, okay.
Yeah, and he suggested our behaviors are basically rooted in these innate fixed patterns, things we're sort of born knowing how to do.
Like a spider spinning a web, that kind of instinct.
Precisely. That's the idea. Then things shifted a bit towards a drive reduction theory.
Drive reduction. Okay, what's that?
So researchers like Clark Hull, Kenneth Spence, they proposed were mainly motivated to reduce internal tension.
Tension from what?
From unmet biological needs. Hunger, thirst, the basics. The idea is we act to get back to a state of balance or homeostasis.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense for eating when you're hungry. You feel the lack, you act, the drive goes down.
Right. Simple cause and effect almost.
But what about things like, I don't know, learning guitar or aiming for a promotion? That doesn't feel quite the same as just being thirsty.
Exactly. And that's the gap those early theories didn't quite fill, which is where the cognitive approaches came in and really changed the game.
Cognitive. So thinking, expectation.
Yes. Emphasizing the huge role of our thoughts, our expectations, the goals we actually set for ourselves.
Okay, like what?
Well, a really big one is self-determination theory. You've got Edward Deci and Richard Ryan.
Deci and Ryan, right.
They highlight these fundamental psychological needs we have. Autonomy.
Feeling in control.
Yeah, control over your choices. Then competence, feeling like you're good at stuff, effective.
Makes sense.
And relatedness, that feeling of connection to others. When these three are met, it really fuels intrinsic motivation.
Intrinsic motivation. That's the buzzword, isn't it? Doing it for the love of it.
That's exactly it. The sheer enjoyment or satisfaction you get from the activity itself, not for some prize at the end.
Okay, and where does someone like Maslow fit in? The hierarchy guy.
Right. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that offered a slightly different angle. He saw it as a progression.
Like steps on a ladder?
Sort of. You start with the most basic needs, food, water, safety. Then you move up towards belonging, esteem, and finally, self-actualization.
Reaching your full potential.
That's the peak, yeah. The desire to become everything you're capable of being.
So it's definitely been a journey, hasn't it? Figuring out what gets us going. It's clearly more complicated than just, basic urges.
Oh, absolutely. And our understanding is still being refined. It's this complex dance between what's inside us and what's happening around us.
Okay, so we've kind of mapped out what it is, how we started thinking about it. But let's bring it back. Why should this matter to, you listening right now? Why dig into this?
Well, if you connect it to your own life, motivation is, it's really the foundation, isn't it? For achieving things, for growing, for just feeling good overall.
It's the fuel in the tank.
Exactly. Without that drive, you've got this amazing potential, this ship maybe, but no sail to catch the wind.
Think about any goal, right? Big or small. Getting that job, learning that language, even just trying to get to the gym more often. Motivation is the juice. It gives you the focus, the stick-with-itness to get past the bumps in the road.
And it's not just about hitting the target, is it? It's also crucial for personal growth.
How so?
Well, it's what pushes you out of your comfort zone. That urge to learn something new, develop a skill, become well, better, that desire to improve is a powerful motivator all by itself.
And resilience too, I guess.
Yeah.
Because life, throws stuff at you.
Oh, definitely. Setbacks happen, challenges pop up. Motivation is a huge part of bouncing back.
It's that little voice saying, okay, that sucked, but I'm not done.
Precisely. It fuels that inner strength that I can handle this feeling. It helps you dust yourself off and keep moving forward.
There's also that link to purpose, isn't there? Feeling like what you're doing matters.
A huge link. When your motivation comes from something you genuinely value, something that aligns with who you are, life just feels more meaningful.
More fulfilling.
Absolutely. And that sense of purpose can be an incredibly strong, sustainable source of motivation itself. It keeps you going long term.
And it all kind of feeds into just general well-being, feeling happier.
Yeah, research backs that up. Higher motivation often links to greater life satisfaction, more happiness, feeling more engaged with life. When you're driven, you feel more alive.
Which brings up a really important angle, I think. How does this motivation engine help when we're dealing with really tough stuff, like, say, anxiety or other health issues?
Yeah, that's a crucial point, because dealing with something like anxiety or depression or a chronic illness, it can just sap your energy, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
It feels like you have no motivation sometimes, hopeless even.
Exactly. It can feel incredibly depleting. But, and this is important, motivation can still be a vital tool on that path towards, well, managing things better or recovering.
How does that work when you feel so low?
Well, it's not magic, obviously, but it can act as a counterweight. Recovery often requires taking steps, doesn't it?
Like going to therapy or taking medication.
Or trying to get some exercise, changing your diet, things that feel really hard when you're struggling.
Yeah, impossibly hard sometimes.
Right. But even a tiny flicker of motivation, maybe nudged by support from others, can be that initial push, the spark to just make the call or take the pill or go for that 5-minute walk.
And then maybe it builds on itself. Like you do the small thing, feel a tiny bit better, and that encourages you.
That's exactly the idea. It can create a positive feedback loop. You take a small step, maybe see a small positive outcome, and that boosts your belief in your ability to cope yourself efficacy.
Self-efficacy.
Right.
Believing you can actually do it.
And that increased confidence then feeds back into your motivation to keep going, to take the next small step.
So it helps build momentum.
Precisely. It helps maintain hope, too. Facing health challenges can be really discouraging, but if you hold on to some underlying motivation, some belief that things can improve, it helps you stay engaged in your recovery.
And just practically sticking with things, right?
Yeah.
Like if you have a special diet or physio exercises.
Oh, absolutely. Adherence to treatment plans, whether it's diet, exercise, medication, mindfulness practices for anxiety that requires ongoing motivation. Consistency is key.
And those bigger lifestyle changes, quitting smoking, eating healthier long-term, managing stress better, they all rely heavily on sustained motivation.
And interestingly, motivation can also help people find new sources of meaning despite their illness.
Like finding purpose in new ways.
Yeah, maybe helping others with similar conditions, finding creative outlets, or just learning to appreciate small joys differently.
It's really important to say, though, isn't it, that for people dealing with severe conditions, generating that motivation internally can feel almost impossible.
That's a critical caveat, absolutely. The barrier can be immense.
And that's where support comes in.
That's where external support, therapists, doctors, family, friends, becomes absolutely vital. Sometimes that initial spark, that scaffolding, has to come from the outside. It's not always about sheer willpower.
So it's not a failing if you can't just will yourself to be motivated when you're really unwell.
Not at all. It often needs to be cultivated, supported, and maybe focused on tiny, manageable steps first.
Okay, so we see its power in health challenges.
Yeah.
But it sounds like this isn't just about health or big goals. It's, well, everywhere in everyday life.
Oh, completely. Its versatility is amazing when you start looking. Take problem solving.
Okay.
You hit a snag at work or, something breaks at home. It's your motivation that fuels the desire to figure it out, right? To brainstorm, try things, not just give up.
To persist until you find a solution.
Exactly. And we mentioned overcoming obstacles before, that resilience. That's motivation, helping you learn from mistakes and keep pushing towards what you want, even after you stumble.
What about big decisions, the really tough ones?
Motivation, especially when it connects to your core values, your long-term vision for your life. That can give you the clarity and, frankly, the courage to make those hard choices.
Choosing the path that feels right, even if it's difficult.
And think about bad habits, things we know aren't good for us.
Oh, yeah. Breaking those is hard.
It takes real motivation, doesn't it? To set that intention, to consciously build a new, healthier routine in its place.
Definitely. It's the driving force there.
And relationships. Building and maintaining strong connections takes effort, empathy, working through disagreements.
You have to be motivated to put in that work.
You do, motivated to connect, to understand, to nurture the bond. Even managing everyday stress, you need motivation to prioritize self-care, use coping strategies, not just get overwhelmed.
And just adapting to change. Life's always throwing curveballs.
Right. Motivation helps you embrace new situations, learn new skills, adjust your perspective instead of just resisting. It keeps you flexible and moving forward.
Okay, so if we zoom out even further, beyond just us as individuals, what about the impact on, like, humanity, society as a whole?
Ah, the collective level. Yeah, the ripple effect is huge. Think about innovation and progress.
Science, technology, art?
All of it. That fundamental human drive to understand, to solve problems, to create something new. That's motivation fueling discovery, invention, artistic expression.
And social change, too, fighting injustice.
Absolutely. Think about movements for civil rights, equality, environmental protection. It's the collective motivation to challenge what's wrong and strive for a better, fairer world. That's a powerful force.
Even the economy, I suppose.
Definitely. Entrepreneurship, hard work, the drive to build businesses, create jobs, it's all tied to motivation and has massive economic impact.
And to building communities, people getting together, supporting each other?
Yeah, that sense of shared purpose, wanting to contribute to the common good that fosters social cohesion, builds strong communities.
And facing the really big global challenges.
Yeah.
Climate change, poverty.
It's going to take immense collective motivation, won't it? Individuals, organizations, governments, all needing to be driven to collaborate and find solutions.
Even just preserving culture, traditions, sharing stories.
That's fueled by motivation, too. The desire to connect with our heritage, understand others, pass knowledge on, it enriches us all.
Wow. Okay, so it really does scale up from the personal to the global. Let's bring it back down again, though, make it super concrete for people listening. How does motivation play out in specific roles they might have? Say, if you're a student.
Okay, students. Yeah, for students, motivation is, well, it's pretty foundational, isn't it? For doing well academically, but also just for growing as a person during that time.
So more engaged in class.
Definitely. Motivated students tend to be more curious, ask more questions, really want to understand the material, not just memorize it.
And they probably put in more effort, right?
Yeah,
Especially when things get tough.
exactly. They're more likely to persist through difficult assignments or subjects. That grit, that willingness to keep trying often makes a huge difference in results.
And setting goals, like aiming for certain grades or finishing a big project.
Motivation is key for that. Setting the goal and having the drive to actually work towards it. It also helps with things like time management, being organized enough to actually get the work done.
What about failure?
Yeah,
Because students face setbacks, bad grades happen.
right. But motivated students are often more resilient. They're more likely to see a setback as a learning opportunity, not, proof that they should give up.
Learn from it and move on.
Yeah. And maybe the most important thing long term, that intrinsic motivation we talked about.
The love of learning itself.
Exactly. Cultivating that genuine interest can set you up for a lifetime of curiosity and growth way beyond school.
Okay, now shift gears. What if you're listening as an employee in the workplace?
Right. The professional world. Motivation there is a huge driver of, well, productivity and performance, obviously.
Doing your job well.
Doing it well, efficiently, often producing higher quality work. Motivated employees usually have a stronger commitment to their tasks and the company's goals.
And they're probably more engaged, feel more connected to their work.
Generally, yes, which often leads to a greater sense of purpose, higher job satisfaction, and more loyalty to the organization.
Does it impact creativity?
Oh, absolutely. A motivated workforce is often where innovation sparks. People are more invested, more likely to suggest new ideas, find better ways of doing things.
And teamwork.
It definitely helps foster positive team dynamics. People are more motivated to collaborate effectively, support colleagues, work towards shared goals.
And what about adapting? Workplaces change so fast now.
Crucial. Motivation is key for adaptability. Being willing to learn new skills, embrace new tech, adjust to changing roles, that requires an underlying drive.
So ultimately, it's good for the employee and the company, better satisfaction, lower turnover.
Exactly. When employees feel motivated and valued, it's a win-win. They're more likely to stay and contribute their best work.
Okay, so we've covered students, employees, but what about, everyone else? all the other hats we wear.
Right, because life isn't just school or work. The principles are pretty universal. Think about artists, writers, musicians.
Theaters.
Yeah, creators. Their motivation is often that deep, intrinsic need to express themselves, to share their vision, connect through their work.
And athletes, pushing limits.
Totally. That relentless drive to excel, to test their boundaries, achieve personal bests, maybe win. That's pure motivation.
What about volunteering? People giving their time.
That's often driven by a powerful motivation to contribute, to make a difference, help others, support a cause they believe in. It's often very purpose-driven.
Entrepreneurs starting businesses.
Huge motivation there. The drive to build something, innovate, take risks, create value that takes serious fire in the belly.
Even just personal relationships. We touched on that.
Yeah, the motivation to connect deeply, nurture bonds, invest time and emotional energy. That's essential for our social well-being.
And hobbies. The things we do just for fun.
Absolutely. That's often pure intrinsic motivation. Engaging in activities we simply enjoy brings pleasure, reduces stress, enriches our lives. It's not about achieving anything specific, just the enjoyment itself.
So it really does weave through everything. It's this foundational force.
It truly is. It underpins so much of what we do, who we are, how we feel about our lives.
Shaping actions, driving achievements, influencing well-being.
Exactly. It helps us tackle challenges, recover from setbacks, and ultimately, lead more fulfilling, purposeful lives, whatever our situation.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, the big takeaway really seems to be motivation isn't just some, abstract idea from psychology textbooks.
Not at all.
It's real. It's powerful. It's inside every single one of us.
It gets things started, keeps things going, helps us reach our potential.
And lead more meaningful lives.
And the crucial thing to remember is it's not fixed. It's not like you either have it or you don't.
Ah, good point.
It's dynamic.
Right.
It's something you can actually cultivate, nurture, strengthen. Understanding what drives you, your needs, your values, your aspirations, that's the first step to consciously using that power.
Okay, so here's something for everyone listening to really chew on as we finish.
Right.
Consider one specific area of your life right now. Where does your motivation feel really strong, like vibrant?
Okay.
Now, think about another area where maybe it feels weaker or even, kind of absent.
The contrast.
Yeah. What is one small, really small, concrete, doable step you could realistically take, maybe even today, to start bridging that gap?
Just one small thing.
Yeah. To intentionally add just a little bit of fuel to that inner engine in the weaker area. It's often just about getting the ball rolling, right?
Yeah.
No matter how small that first push is.